Welcome to the Purpose Driven Mom Show, episode 432. Today, I want to speak from the heart. I want to talk a little bit about what happens when you let go of fear and you step into your full potential. I don't have an outline. I felt this morning when I was getting ready. I actually am like super congested. I'm not even feeling great. My hair isn't done. And I was like, I need to get this word out there for people. And so here we go. So as I'm recording this, it is mid to end October. We just finished up our planning challenge over at A Purpose Driven Mom for the end of the year planning, and we wrapped up our conference in September. I have so many thoughts and so many things running through my head. So I'm going to talk a few business things, a couple personal things, and what I realized I was letting me hold me back. Okay. Show notes are going to be at purposedrivenmom.com/podcast 432. Just swipe up. You can listen. And I do want to say, if you want to start hanging with me on TikTok, Purpose Driven Mom, that's where I'm at. I'm starting to post there, which is part of my story today. I let fear drive me for a long time. In my life, I was afraid of what other people would think. I thought, what if they don't like what I do? I thought, what if it's not enough? And I had this story in my head that was, I'm not enough. I will never be enough no matter what. And all of this stems from my childhood. And, I hate to be like, I have daddy issues, but like one of those where it was like, I was always striving for that love from him that I felt like I never, and still at 40, like, don't feel like I get in the way that I would like. And so it created this limiting belief in my brain that was, you are not good enough. You need to earn everything. You need to prove yourself. And so my entire life, I had participated in like attention seeking behaviors. Like I can look back now as an adult and be like, I was crying out for attention. When my parents split up, I was in high school. And I wound up getting a lot of trouble, which is so interesting because I was seen as the good one, like with my sisters, but I legally was the only one who actually got arrested when I was a kid. And I did. I got caught drunk driving, which clearly, like, I absolutely regret. I was 17. I just had my license for like 2 months and made this massive mistake that I think really changed the trajectory of my life. And things led up to that, right? I was wanting attention. I wanted to prove that I was good enough. I wanted to prove that I was worthy. So this looked different in my friend circles. Maybe I was drinking a lot, partying. I was really leaning into that party girl persona, which is so funny because if you talk to friends that know me now, they like hear these stories. They're like, what are you talking about? But that's how I was. That's within my friend circle. Like I definitely was known as the partier. And I was that way because I wanted people to like me. I was that way, not because it was fun, not, I get it. Like now I can have like a glass of wine or, recreationally other things. And what is the term we use on TikTok now? Gardening, right? So like recreationally garden a little bit and I'm cool. But back then I was drinking in order to feel. I was drinking in order to be liked and I was drinking in order to get approval. And that went on from I was maybe about 13, 14 when that started until I was in my mid to late 20s. And I leaned into this because I had this fear that if I didn't quote unquote perform for people, I was unworthy. If I didn't provide value to other people, then I did not matter and I would not matter. And that was, now that I'm in like a life coach and I can analyze my own things, like that was the story I told myself. That was the story I had in my head. That's what I truly believed. And then it played out with my parents, like trying to get their attention, even getting arrested. I was like, maybe someone will notice me. And what actually happened was my dad was really mad that I cost him money and stopped talking to me for a few months. So it did the opposite. But it solidified this thing that I have to do something to get attention, because if I'm not getting attention from other people, I don't matter. And it turned me into a people pleaser or someone who has people pleasing tendencies. I'm a certified life coach, right? And I have 8 specializations. And one of them I just got this year that I think actually was the catalyst for the way I'm feeling now. And it was in people pleasing. And the one thing she said in the video was people pleasing is not your identity, like a lot of us think. It is a trait. It is a habit. We get into people-pleasing tendencies, but it isn't who we are. And I didn't believe that. I thought that was me. I was a people pleaser. Like, oh, there's Cara just saying yes to everything because, I wanted to be this way. But this year when I went through this certification and it clicked in my brain, like, no, I'm showing up with people-pleasing tendencies. It's not who I am. Right. It's like, what is the saying? Like I have a fingernail. I'm not a fingernail, right? Like type of a thing. And this year, my brain did a bunch of switches because I realized I was letting the fear of other people's judgments, the fear of not being worthy, the fear of people not thinking I was a good business owner. I've been in business 7 years. We just hit the 7-year anniversary of Purpose Driven Mom. Most businesses do not make it past year 5, and here we are, right? But I've been in business 7 years, and I still, until this year, honestly, until I left that conference in September, had the thought in my head that I wasn't a good business owner and I didn't know what I was doing. 7 years. And that's how powerful our mind is. That's how powerful our thoughts are. Really thinking that we're only worthy if. Okay, that was my phrase. And this year, a couple of things happened for me. One, I got a new therapist. Gina, shout out, love Gina. Gina sat with me that first question and she said to me, "What do you want?" And I did not know the answer. I'm almost 40 at the point. And I was like, I don't know what I want out of my life because I had spent so much of my life making sure other people were pleased with me that I actually was unsure. Now, don't get me wrong. I have come a long way. I worked a lot in personal growth and development in my 30s that has made me the person that I am today. I used to be super negative. I used to be very catastrophic. Like we talk about growth versus fixed mindset, right? Fixed mindset says, I'm born this way. This is how things are, right? Growth mindset says, I'm capable of learning and changing. I had a very fixed mindset. I did not believe things would get better for me. I did not believe I could change things. And I worked on that in my 30s. When I was in network marketing, there's a lot of pros and cons. The pro there was they were heavy on personal development. And because of that, I started to read books. I started to listen to podcasts. I truly, and it is capable for you too, you can do this, rewired my brain to believe different things. So no matter how down you are, no matter what you're thinking and those thoughts in your head, I do truly believe over time, if you're putting different things in, if you're working you can rewrite and rewire your brain, like the synapses in our brain, in front of our brain, our reticular activating system, you can rewire it to think differently. Now, it took me a decade, but I truly feel like I'm there. But I was still getting caught in this fear. I was still getting caught in this fear of other people. So Gina and I sat and we, what do you want? And it really helped me open the conversation because I hadn't paused long enough to ask myself that question, right? I hadn't paused long enough to be like, what do I want? Or is this what I want? Because I realized that the things that I were doing, 80% of it is what I have crafted and curated, I believe, a great life. Like there's problems, there's issues, there's struggles. I don't mean to minimize anyone else's struggles, but I think about the path of going from teaching to network marketing to starting my own business. I've been able to curate a schedule that works for me. Like I am pretty happy. I'm pretty content in my life. But there's that 20% of me that I realized I wasn't doing things for the right reasons. And I was doing things because I didn't want people to be mad at me. I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want people to not value my worth, things like that. So that conversation started it. Second thing that happened was I turned 40 this year. And, I talked, my mom's over 40. I've talked to you and you all said it. Just wait. And I thought my 30s were great. Like my 30s were phenomenal in my mindset and I stopped caring as much. Again, it was like, I really, really, really cared, like 100% what everybody thought. And then it went down to like 50%. And now I'm at like 20%, which is so good, right? I've moved that needle. But I thought my 30s were great. My 40s are great. I really just do not have time for things that don't lift and build me up. And turning 40 just like gave me this switch. My pastor did this thing at what service. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see, I'll grab a piece of paper. Hold on, let me get a piece of paper. If you're on the podcast, I'll explain it. So he gave us each a piece of paper and it was, I don't know, like in denominations of 10. Hold on, 60, 50. I'm going to write it out real quick. And it was these denominations of 10 of our lives. Okay. And he said, find like where you're at. So this is labeled this, if you're listening on the podcast, 0 to 100, find where you're at on this thing and like fold it over. And he also said like most men, women, our lifespan's about 80. Okay. So I'm going to cross off 100. I'm going to cross off 90. So I've got 80 here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to fold that over because that doesn't exist anymore. And then fold the paper to where you're at. Well, I'm 40, so I can fold this very clearly. And so when I look at the years that I have left in my life, I was like, wow. Like not to be morbid, and I don't know, nobody knows how long they have. Do I want to live the rest of my life in fear? Do I want to live these small amount of this Post-it note that I have left thinking, I wonder if they're happy with the decision I made or I'm happy with the decision I made. And so this 40, it just clicked in my brain and I was like, let's do something different, right? So that happened. And then I took my people pleasing certification and it was nothing new. I live the life. I know what it's like. But it really felt like a game changer because I was like learning strategies to help deal with it myself. I coupled that with another book. I'm going to give you a book recommendation. Let me pull it up on my Audible. It's called The Art of Saying No. I have two books. Let me see if I can find them both while I'm on here. It's so fun. I'm not even live. Like I could literally pause and look for the books, but I'm going to see if I can find them on because you and me are just having a conversation today. The Art of Saying No by Damon Zerhardis. And there was one more that I read, Drive Your Own Darn Bus by Julia Christina. Those two books, I read them last year and I reread them this year. Game changers. Why? Because it reminded me that I am the only one in control of, like, besides God, right? Like my thoughts, actions, beliefs. I cannot control, and you cannot control how people think, act, or feel about what you do. Listen to that again. You cannot control what people think, act, and feel about what you do. So why are we wasting so much time worrying about it? I had a situation this year with somebody, and they were not kind. It was not a kind situation. This is in my personal life. And I talked it through with my therapist. And you know what she said to me? She said, why do you care so much about someone who clearly does not care about your feelings at all? And it was like mic drop, right? Why do I care so much? And so couple all these things together. I told myself in April after I turned 40, I said, I'm done, right? I'm tired. I don't want to do this. The other thing that pushed this catalyst of me getting out of my own way and this fear was this summer. We went camping, we unplugged, we were in nature. I was with my family. And I said to my husband, if I stopped caring about what other people think, I'd be a better mom. Because you do this in public, your kids at Target, they're having a tantrum about not getting a toy, right? I overparent, right? Like I get mad about stuff that wouldn't normally set me off or whatever the situation is because I'm worried about what other people are thinking about me. And I realized that if I stayed in my own lane, if I truly stopped, I wasn't on social media as much for personal, right? Like I still log in for business, but I haven't been on social media for personal. I'm not scrolling my feed. I post pictures on my personal Facebook because I like to go through the memories and I don't want to forget them next year or in 5 years, right? It's for me. My Facebook feed is for me. I stopped worrying about other people's. And it has been the most freeing thing. I was like, I'm going to text the people I want to talk to. I'm going to hang out with the people I want to hang out with. I'm going to do the things that light me up. And I'm not going to worry about what other people think. Now, I'm not doing this in like a malicious way. I'm not being mean, right? I'm not cutting people off. But it was in a way that I realized that I don't need to be around and with people who truly actually don't care about my feelings, but maybe are using me because I am showing these people-pleasing tendencies. Do you have that in your life? The other thing that happened, so we've got therapy, we've got the life coach certification, we've got turning 40, is I found a group of friends that makes me feel fabulous. Now, I have a lot of really great friends. So I'm not saying, if you're listening, you're my friend, I love you. I'm not saying my other friends aren't fabulous. But something happened with this one specific group. This is my book club, shout out. We just had a weekend away, and this is our third trip. I left feeling energized and relaxed at the same time. Because our worlds don't intersect except for book club, our conversations are so incredible, right? We're not, when you're around people and you see them too much, right? Like a lot, people can start getting into gossiping or talking about other people or like complaining about the school. Like we don't have any of that in common, right? We're all parents, but our kids are all different ages. They go to different schools. We don't have that in common. Like we bond on a different level. So that's not what we did. We weren't complaining. We were lifting each other up. We were laughing. Oh my gosh. I never laugh more than like, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely peed my pants. Like that's how hard I laugh with this group because there's no pretense. I don't have to be anyone else. I can show up as I am and I feel supported in that. And it is just an incredible feeling. And so being in that environment left me realizing like, I don't need to live my life in this fear of other people because the people that are meant to be in my life, the people that are meant to be my circle, the people that are meant to do that will be those people. Now, I want to give you another book recommendation. It's called The Life Council. Can't remember the author off the top of my head. And I got this one from the library. So I'm like, oh, it's probably not in my feed anymore, but it's 10 friends every woman needs. And another thing that helped me get out of this fear and this people pleasing and all of this was reading this book because it talks about the different levels of friendship. And inside of it, I realized what I was doing. I was trying to make every friend this like deep trauma dump soul bestie, right? And I didn't need to do that. When you can embrace people for who they are in your life and what season they are and what like you have that friend, your kids are in the same grade, you talk about the same stuff. Cool. Allow it to be that and stop trying to make them this other friend. it's just freeing. And so coupling all these things together, this year, I really feel like I've stepped out of fear. Now, how has that looked in my life? Wow. I can't even. So let's begin. Let's start personal, then we'll go business. So anyway, if you heard any of yourself in my story, again, today's super informal. I have no outline. I just was like feeling that somebody needed to hear this. So if you hear yourself in my story, lean in, because I'm going to tell you the impact it's had stepping out of fear. And for me, my fear was fear of judgment, fear of people being mad at me, feel of not feeling worthy because I don't show up for other people. One, I said no to things. I volunteer a lot. Lots of opportunities get put on my plate. It's always been my life. Cara will figure it out. Cara will do it because I've always done it. So I keep showing up and I keep doing it. Well, I said no to things. I did less, even like around my house, things that maybe I was enabling my husband because I was doing all of it. I let him handle it. I went away twice, 2 long weekends, and I didn't make him a list. I was like, he knows how to read a Google Calendar, right? Like, we'll figure it out. And it was fine. I also said no to things that, again, volunteering didn't fill me up, or also like opportunities that I just didn't want to do. If I don't want to go to something, why am I going to go to it? Because I'm afraid someone's going to be mad if I don't do it. And part of that also came from being a mom of a 9-year-old, almost 9-year-old, seeing her friendship dynamics. I don't want her to grow up thinking she has to say yes to everyone because she's afraid of letting them down. And I really feel strong about that right now. So I learned that lesson that I need the reminder. I know I remind all of you on my socials, on my podcast, like no is a complete sentence, but I also needed the reminder. I also stopped worrying so much about the repercussions because I just repeated this 2 days ago to someone. I repeat it to myself all the time when I start to get swirly in my brain about other people and like, what are they thinking about me? I do 2 things. So one is I have this journal. Okay, so if you're on YouTube, I have this journal. It's in here somewhere. It's in this drawer. And inside of it is where I journal out my thoughts that are a little bit more irrational and fear-based. That has helped me stop and reassess. So what do I journal? What has happened? Right? This person said this thing to me. This situation happened. I think they gave me a side eye. Like we get so in our heads making up stories about what other people are thinking. And when you step out of fear, you stop doing that. When you step out of that fear space, you don't worry as much. So anyway, so it's what happened? What did it make me feel? No, what happened? What am I thinking about that? What did it make me feel? And what is the potential truth? The potential truth is it could have nothing to do with, I saw a Facebook post and I thought it was about me. Okay. It made me feel bad because I didn't want anyone to feel left out. I worry if someone's mad at me. What did it, what's the potential truth? It could be about me. It could be about somebody else, right? Like, okay, what is my new truth? That's what I write down. My new truth is if somebody has a problem with me, they can come talk to me. Like, that's it. And I repeat to myself all the time that quote from the other book, Drive Your Own Darn Bus. You cannot control how people feel, think, or act about you. And I just keep reminding myself that. And I went into this school year and I said, if people have issues with me, problems with me, they want to talk to me, whatever the drama is, I don't want it. So they can either come talk to me, but I have to, and again, it's not perfect. I keep reminding myself, stop overthinking and overanalyzing other people, right? People think about you a lot less than you think. We think about us all the time, but most of the time, our behavior is not even a blip on their radar because people are thinking about themselves. But we as humans are so self-centered that we think about it and then we get into people-pleasing tendencies because we're like, oh my God, they're mad at me or whatever it is. So one of the things that really helped was journaling it out when I'm having these thoughts about the fear. Like, what is the fear? What's it making me think? What is it making me feel? What is the actual truth? And then what is my new thought? Like, what is my new thought about that? So work on that one. And then when stuff starts to get in my way and I'm afraid about like what somebody's going to think about something I do, I just think, well, I can't control how they think, feel, or act about it. I can only control if it feels true to me. And that, the freedom in that phrase, this year has helped me just feel great. So yes, that's had impacts in my parenting. It's had impacts on my friendships. It impacts in my life. It's also had a big impact on my business this year. 7 years in, again, I still have this thought. I didn't know what I was doing. And this year, I decided to get out of my own way, to stop being afraid of what could happen wrong and worry about the potential that it could have. One of those is the conference. I've been thinking about it. I was afraid. I didn't have the skills. It wouldn't be legitimate. I wouldn't know what I was doing. People would think it was a waste of their time, a waste of their money, like all these thoughts I had in my head. but I decided to not let fear in the driver's seat, and I did it anyway. And it was the most incredible experience of my life. We will be doing one January 2026. We are already starting to plan it. I am so thankful for the people that came. I'm so thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful for my team for helping me like process through my thoughts because I stepped out of my own way. What happened was I realized that I'm more capable than I even imagined. Like I did something so scary, so frightening. And guess what? It didn't go to plan business wise. I lost a good chunk of money on that event. I'm going to be real about it. I lost a couple $1,000s running that event, but I learned so much. And I could have looked at it as a failure. I could have been like, oh my God, you just lost a couple $1,000s. Like you don't have that money, right? I couldn't pay myself. I'm going to be super honest. I couldn't pay myself for a few months. And I'm still trying to figure it out. But I learned so much. And because I didn't let fear get in my way, my brain was like, boom, let's do it. Like, let's do more. Let's speak more. Let's get in front of more people. And because I got out of my own way, the 24 people who came to that event, I know were impacted positively. I know that the lessons, the connections, the guests, all of it there was a light bulb in somebody's head. It made a difference for them. And like that to me is huge. As someone who feels like they have a servant heart, I'm an Enneagram 3 wing 2, like very driven, but I love to serve. That makes me so happy. The other thing is a recent one. Oh my gosh, let's talk about TikTok, huh? So I had this fear-based statements. And I always say this to my therapist. I'm like, I have rational fears and I have irrational fears. And I can identify when they're irrational, but it doesn't mean they don't happen. And so I have to identify them so I can coach myself into the rational thought. It's my anxiety. Again, I'm thankful that I'm a certified life coach because I'm able to help myself. But I still go to therapy, but I'm able to help myself in the moment. So I have this fear around social media. I was not so much my Facebook page. I don't really do anything on my Facebook page, but I was showing up on Instagram here or there. It's my original platform. I enjoy it. But TikTok was the only one that I used for myself that I really liked. And I had this fear that I didn't realize literally until this week what the fear was. And the fear was that if I show up on TikTok as a platform to reach more moms, I will not be seen as legitimate. And again, it's BS. It's irrational. I know that's not true. But I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to show up and do these cringy things and I'm going to be cringy and everyone's going to be like, she's an influencer. Like I had that in my head because I don't identify with that term, right? Like I'm a teacher. And the term influencer had it got in my head so deep that I was like, I can't show up on this platform. So then this week I was praying about it and I was like, God, I need some extra, I need to think of different incomes. One of the things we learned from the conference was we have so many people who want to sponsor, send us promotional products. And there's so many that would help my moms. And I realized that I'm really good at sharing the events I speak at and the summits and things like that, but not products that could help. I have a ton of products around my house that I absolutely love that I wish that I shared more of and I could make money from it. So I also thought, wow, on TikTok, there's so many moms on TikTok. They're there and they're waiting and they want help. They want help managing their task list and their goals. And I am getting in my own way and their way by not showing up. And so this week I said, I'm just going to try Reels. I was like, I'm going to try Instagram. Maybe it's cringy, whatever. I have to stop caring if other people will like it and think about the person that's going to see it that is going to help. And I had to get out of my head about it. Maybe you do the same. I had to get out of my head. And I started with Reels this week. I got a little push from some friends, let's do it. No strategy. This was what helped me. I am a strategy person. So if I don't go in with a strategy, I don't know what to do. I'm like, but there's no point. That's how my brain works. There's no purpose. What is the purpose of what I'm doing? And it literally was, right now, I'm changing my goal. My goal is not to grow on social media. Right now, my goal is to create a habit of showing up on Instagram Reels. That's how I changed it. And that really, really helped. Well, then I was like, why not just do it on TikTok too? Right? So a couple things happened, right? I'm in this PA mom talk. If anyone else is in PA, it's like a little movement on social media. Ever since the Mormon Housewives show came out, people are trying to do it in their state. And it really is nice because people are trying to help each other out. And I thought, well, these are my audience. Why not? So I got in this group. It started to give me a little courage. And I started posting. And then I made a planner, which at this exact moment, I should be getting the proof of it today. It's not a planner. Sorry, I shouldn't have used the word planner. Don't freak out. It's not a planner. It is a drawing book. It's a mommy and me drawing book where you draw on one side, your kid draws on the other, and it makes a complete picture. By the time this airs, check the show notes. We should have a link for it. Because again, the proof is supposed to come to my house today. And then once the proof is out, then I'll start selling it for the holidays. Super cute gift. I'm thinking about making like a dad in me, a grandma in me, or whatever. But I want to see it before. So anyway, I was like, I want to sell this. And I feel like it would sell really well on TikTok because that's just the way the platform works. So in order to do that, I need to get out of my own way, get out of the fear and just show up. And in a week, I've gained 100 and something followers of moms. I'm getting all, the people there. I had somebody email me about a brand collaboration already, and I got accepted to sell my stuff on TikTok. In 1 week of just stop listening to the voice in my head that says you can't do it and you should be afraid and just going forward and not worrying about what other people are going to think. I got a message this morning and it was from somebody and I wasn't familiar who they were, but if you're here, she said she listened to the podcast and it was, I listened to your podcast and oh, wait, let me read it because it really like impacted me. Like it made this like solidification that getting out of my own way works. So I screenshotted it. She said, I love you, your podcast and your book. Hope more people find you here on TikTok. So Cookie Eats, go follow Cookie Eats. That meant so much to me because what it did was it was like God was saying to me, Cara, when you get out of your own way, look at the people you can help. Your mom is here. She's on TikTok. She's waiting for your help. And I tell this to moms all the time who want to start a business, who are like, I'm too scared. Someone out there is waiting for you to do your thing because it's going to impact their life. And you living in fear is getting in the way of that for them. I know, right? I just want to encourage you today that if you've been letting fear in the driver's seat, if you've been letting fear take over, if you've been letting fear get in the way of things in your personal life, your business life, or whatever, you have to let it go. Remember that you are not responsible for how people think, feel, or act about what you do. All you're responsible for is your actions and what you do. So are you going to let fear take you, or are you willing to step out of it? Show notes, purposedrivenmom.com/podcast 432. You can check the video out if you want to see some of the things I showed today over at our YouTube channel, Purpose Driven Mom. And come TikTok with me, Purpose Driven Mom, no A, over on TikTok. We would love to connect with you more. Thank you for listening today with my little ramble, but I was like getting ready this morning and I thought somebody out there needs to hear this today. So let me help you get out of your head. Step out of fear, right? Move into action and just wait and see how your life unfolds.